welcome to our show. My name is Julissa, and I am here with my co-host,
Michelle. Hi, guys.
and we are going to talk about the vagina monologues and how power doesn't really come with anatomy, I think, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right, so we're going to jump in here. We're going to touch base on the vagina monologues. Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So the Vagina Monologues is by Evie Ensler. And basically, this is just a bunch of monologues dedicated to the vagina. It talks about anything from your first periods all the way down to loving your vagina itself. It's a very big woman's movement, and she's turned it just from a book to something worldwide.
And not just that, I feel like this book itself has turned my eyes from what society has made me think about my vagina and the power that I have behind it, and really made me enforce that whole true, like, hey, my vagina does have power, and I don't need a dick to be in that position.
I agree. I wasn't a big fan of my vagina. We had a love-hate relationship, and reading this book has definitely changed it.
Okay, guys, so let's jump right into gender roles in society. So, according to this article, Male and Female Civility Toward Gender Justice by Melanie L. Miller at the University of Alabama, it stated that since the 1960s, the prominent job of a woman was in the kitchen. It was in the household. It was giving that primary care to those that needed it. But within the topic of gender and social roles, that changed and expanded drastically within the 20th century. So within the 20th century, women's roles in society were narrowly defined, and few women were employed outside the home. So they were given the opportunity to work outside the home, but these women were still stuck in that household mentality. They were still stuck in the gender roles, in what society viewed them as, and they were still, nannies or housemaids or milkmaids.
Whatever was specified to their gender, pretty much.
Yes, correct. But as the war rolled around, women began, they shined. They delivered goods. They served as trained engineers. They built aircrafts. They were badass females.
They were running the world at that time. They had no choice. The men were gone. They had to make things work. They had to get the supplies that they needed, and they had to make sure everything got done.
Correct. But what was crazy was that men were convinced that they were just going to go back to their normal society jobs. So this was like, no, So as women became more aware of who they were and of themselves in the presence of men and society, they stepped up the game. So they stepped up their place in society. But this, alerted the men. This was like, all right, no, we're intimidated by the growth of women. We're intimidated by their intelligence. We're intimidated by their vagina, which holds power over us, obviously. So we're going to grow too. So that not only influenced us and where we are held in society, but it influenced our relationships and the organizational structure within the family and the workplace.
I definitely feel the same about that. I feel like a lot of times it also allowed the men to covertly do things, to slight us, to keep us in our place, even though they couldn't do it in actuality. Which brings us to pay in the workplace. According to the article called The Simple Truth About the Gender Gap by the American Association of University Women, Black women make 62 cents on the dollar, Hispanic women make 54 cents on the dollar, Asian women make 89 cents on the dollar, and Native American women make 57 cents on the dollar. So considering how men make the dollar itself, and we're making this much less, it really shows what a big gap it is, especially with education being a factor, and that somebody with a lower education makes even less than that, especially when there's not only a gender difference, but a color difference as well.
And that just goes into highlight that whether, a female steps in with a higher education, with a degree or something like that, we are still always going to be found underneath a man.
And lacking in some way, exactly. And when that brings me to the occupational segregation. When it comes down to it, no matter how much education a woman has, if she is in that, she goes to apply for that job, she will still get paid less no matter what. And if there's a job traditionally geared towards men, then the men in that place, they will observe that woman is trying to take over, or women in that society are taking over, and then they will lower the amount of pay, and they will go find something else to take care of.
How crazy. Whether we bring in the same talent as a man, we will still be seen as less. weird.
That is, and even in motherhood, women who work full time, who are mothers, get paid 69% less as much as the fathers do, which means that because they're making lower salaries, that means that later on down the road, their retirement's less, and all the other benefits that come with retirement is less.
Mm-hmm. And essentially, that just makes life harder for a woman, a single mother, who is trying to make, ends meet. They're still getting paid less just because they gave birth.
Exactly, and it still counts even with the degrees that they have at the time. So that's definitely discouraging when it comes to gender bias. Another issue is being a mother in the workplace. I'm a mother who works full time. They're typically paid 69% as much as the fathers, which makes it a big issue in the workforce because many mothers experience bias in pay because of gender norms and expectations about their roles. So that makes it really difficult whenever you're a working person. You're already getting paid less because, first of all, you're a woman. Second of all, you're a woman of color if you are a woman of color. And then third of all, you're a mother. So it's three strikes you're out,
It's crazy because, like, it's either, hey, you bring your kids into this world and then you're just going to struggle to keep them in it. Like,
yeah, single mothers struggle the most, But, as our time comes to an end, we like to impart important information and say, that over the last 20 years, vagina monologues have been performed around the world in multiple countries and multiple languages. It's created by the pain, love, and empowerment of women from every walk of life, and it's touched vaginas in every corner of the world.
And it comes, to tell us that though we've come farther than where we were when it comes to equality within the genders, it's all prominently known that our value as women is not worth as much as that of man. But that's debunking the whole, separate but equal in all aspects. But, thanks to the vagina monologue, thanks to this, text that has been brought to women in society.
And other women, and, other texts like it, of course.
Correct. We have a light that has been shed to the understanding of the actual meaning of the female anatomy and the power that we have as females within us. So thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast. Remember, females, you guys are powerful. You guys are amazing. Your vagina is, your main source of power. So take it with you, embrace it. And this is Julissa Gomez.
This is Michelle Coble.
And we're signing off.